and today we're going to be doing Unit 9, Note 6. We're going to be talking about volume of pyramids and cones. So when we're taking a look at this one, when we're looking at the volume is equal to 1/3 the area of the base times the height. We could also write that as the area of the base times the height divided by 3. Now just as a note, remember that B represents your base area. H represents your height. Now, when we are talking about the height for the volume, we are not talking about the slant height. We are talking about the actual altitude. So we're talking about this here or this here. We're not talking about going along the side, okay? It's the actual, basically, how tall the pyramid or cone actually is. All right, next, let's take a look at number 1. So for number 1, we want to find the volume of the pyramids below. So to get the area of the base, so first we're going to have our 1/3. To get the area of the base, it's going to be base times height of the base. So that's going to be 9.5 times 8. Now that represents the base, and now we need to take that and multiply it by the height. Well, here's the height, and that's going to be 9. So I have 1/3 times 9.5 times 8 times 9, and you multiply all of that together, and you get 228 centimeters cubed. Okay, for your final answer for that one. Let's take a look at number 2. So for number 2, we have a pyramid, okay? Notice that of our pyramid, our base is a triangle. So before I go any further, I want to calculate out the base of my triangle. So I'm going to do 1/2 the base of the triangle times the height. So we're going to do 1/2 times 15 times 6, and that's going to give us 45. So 45 is the area of the base. So then what we're going to do is we're going to calculate out the volume. So we're going to do 1/3 times the area of the base, which I calculated to be 45, times the height. Now notice that the height of the prism is 14. So then in my calculator I can do 1/3 times 45 times 14, and that's going to give us 210 feet cubed for our final answer for number 2. Let's take a look at number 3. Brooke is buying a tent that is in the shape of a rectangular pyramid. So that means that the base is going to be a rectangle. Okay, give you my best drawing here. All right, so the base is 6 by 8 feet. If the tent holds 88 cubic feet of air, how tall is the pole? Well, if we're talking cubic feet of air, which, by the way, good one, Miss Humbert, your label is cubed. Oh, I wrote it, but I didn't mention it. Just so you guys know, your label, when you're talking about volume, is cubed. So when it says cubic feet, I know that we're talking about volume. If we're talking about how much air it can hold, that also talks about volume. And feet cubed, good gracious. All right. Much better. Okay, so now we want to figure out how tall it is. So remember that the volume is 1/3 times the area of the base. Well, the area of the base is going to be 8 times 6, and then we need to multiply it by the height, which we don't know, so I'm going to plug in h. And that's going to be equal to the volume. So then I have 1/3 times 8 times 6. Well, I'm going to write that as 48 divided by 3 times h is equal to 88. So then I want to get that divided by 3 over to the other side. So what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by 3. So then I get 48h is equal to 88 times 3, which is 264. Then I need to divide both sides by 48. And I get that h is equal to 5.5 when I divide those out. And now since I'm talking about the height, I'm talking about a line. So then my h is just simply going to be feet. So we're talking about 5.5 feet. Now let's talk about a cone. So we're trying to find the volume of a cone. And it's going to be the same as a pyramid where we have 1/3 base times height. Except how we calculate out a base for a cone is different. Remember, the area for a cone for the base is pi r squared because it's a circle. So really we could write this as 1/3 pi r squared h. So we're really rewriting the same pyramid formula, but we're making it easier because we're putting in the elements that we need for a cone and a circle. So let's take a look now at number 4. So for number 4, we want to find the volume of these cones. So I notice that my radius is 3.2 and my height is 5.8. So I'm going to plug that into my volume formula. So I have 1/3 times the area of the base, which is going to be 3.2 squared times pi. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to multiply it by the height, which is 5.8. So I have 1/3 times 3.2 squared times pi times 5.8. So you multiply all of that together and you get 186.59. Then I notice that my label is meters, so I am going to cube it for number 4. Next, taking a look at number 5, I notice that my radius is 8, so it's 8 centimeters. So my volume is 1/3 times my radius squared times pi times the height. Now notice that this isn't the slant height. It's kind of a weird shaped cone, right? That is the actual height. That is how tall the cone is. So I can use 15 as the height. So then I'm going to take and I'm going to multiply that in. So I'm going to have 1/3 times 8 squared times pi times 15. So 1/3 times 8 squared times pi times 15. And what I end up getting is 1,005.31. Now my label is centimeters, and because I'm talking about volume, I am going to cube it. So that concludes your note video for today. Be sure to show me your note sheet when you're done. Thanks for listening.